You're listening to Tipsy Book Reads.
Reads.
I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Jess.
And we're tipsy. Too many books on my TBR. Too many books on my TBR. Yeah. This podcast is like a book club for the antisocial. We make a drink inspired by the book we read and talk crap about life and fictional characters. We really hope you listen and drink along.
Side effects of listening to this podcast may include reading vivaciously, extreme bouts of laughter, tipsiness from craft cocktails, talking shit about life and fictional characters. Listen at your own risk.
Just a warning, this podcast is explicit. We are all over 21 and there are spoilers. We warned ya. I'm so scared. We watched the scary person we shall not name's video that's going around. We didn't actually watch the whole thing, but we're scared.
I just watched clips of it and I'm going to have nightmares.
I literally can't get it out of my head. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyways, off topic. We're living in Rebecca's world. Another Rebecca. Another one. Still spelled wrong, but it's okay. I'm just kidding. Oh my goodness. I feel like we're not actually recording. We are, right?
To my knowledge.
Right. Okay.
Oh, we should have flipped the thing.
Let me just take a second. We're gonna clip this out. It's gonna be awkward. It's fine. How do we do this again? All right, we're back. I definitely would have clipped that because that's awkward, but we're back. We just needed to see our faces to make sure it was recording because anxiety. Oh, look at you posture. Oh my God. Cute.
It won't last.
Right? Anyway, so we were talking about being in Rebecca's world. There's trigger warnings.
Yes.
I have written down, please add any.
Sure.
This is not an extensive list, but death, war, starvation, alcoholism.
Yep. Grief, but that goes in with death.
Yeah, so if these are not for you, then that's totally okay. Next week, we're going to be talking about the same book, so maybe follow us for the next book. And we hope you still like, comment, and subscribe. But anyways, cool. So, should I give a little synopsis of the book first, or do you want to talk about the drinky drink?
Let's do the drink so we can start drinking it. Okay, so I made like an Earl Grey whiskey beverage because they drink a whole lot of tea. So I did Earl Grey tea and a simple syrup mixture and brandy because Roman's dad drinks brandy, and then bourbon and muddled blackberries.
Cheers. Oh, that's so refreshing.
Yummy, yummy.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Now a synopsis. Okay.
Go for it.
Well, first, we hope you drink along with us. Our recipe is on Instagram. I know sometimes I did the little, the one we set on fire. I put that to like a Paramore song or something.
Mm-hmm.
And people were commenting like, where's the recipe? The recipe's on Instagram.
Yes.
Find that full video always on our reels. We also put them on TikTok too. Just scroll and you'll find them. But yeah, this is really good. Solid job, Jess. So a synopsis of our little book here. Basically, Iris is a young woman who finds herself taking care of her family by writing. She should drop out of school and all that fun stuff. This is very much enemies to lovers vibe with an impending war, or I guess there is a war of the gods at play. So there's a lot going on. There's some war. There's like magic, but also very much like I felt like we were in the 20s or something, or like 50s or
yeah.
I don't know, like era. Not here, not now.
It's definitely not now. I think it's like early 1900s.
Yeah, totally. That's how I feel.
Because the grandmas were kids when it was like 1890s.
I didn't even catch that. Nice. But anyways, I'm truly obsessed with this book. This book was made for me. I am the demographic.
I saw something really interesting on TikTok, and I don't remember who the creator was, but she was saying that Divine Rivals is, oh, how did she put it?
Divine Rivals are for people who like fantasy but want to love romance.
Yeah, it's a romance book for fantasy
and
readers.
Fantasy and
Fourth Wing is a
romance book for fantasy
girlies. Yeah. Yes,
No.
romance book for fantasy readers. This one is a fantasy book for romance readers, right? Or the other way?
I think it's the other way.
I don't know. Whatever she said
Something
made
like
sense
that.
in my mind. Because like you still get the like sprinkles of like things, and yet it's like, I don't know, they're opposite like main tropes, but then you still get the sprinkles of all the other stuff to keep that type of reader like latched onto it.
I freaking love it. I'm a big fan. Like, I'm honestly counting down the seconds until we're done recording so I can pick up reading. Like, it's so good. Plus, I mean, this cover. Also, if anyone has an extra Fairy Loot edition, I will buy it from you.
Stunning.
I want it so bad. It looks so beautiful. I mean, like, I still don't really understand fairy. Well, let's not talk about it because we're not sponsored.
Fair enough. Okay.
We gotta be careful, you know. Do you have anything else to add of the synopsis, or
No.
that's pretty much it?
Yeah, we'll dig more in when we go into scatter thoughts.
There's some themes of censorship in this
Yeah.
book, which I'm a big fan of talking about.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Good stuff, yeah. So, do I have some notes for you? Can you even see this? I don't know. I accidentally bought this on my Kindle.
What?
I'm still getting used to the Kindle Unlimited thing. And so there's like a read now where you can click that if it's under that, or download. And I keep forgetting to not hit download, and I hit read now. And I did that because I have this and I'm reading it from this, but I wanted to read it again. 1 through 24, and I was out. So I was going to start reading it from there, and then I accidentally bought it. So I tried, there's like a, did you buy this on accident button?
Oh.
And so I clicked it, and it said, sorry.
Too late.
It's like I did it in 2 seconds. I don't know, but it's okay. I'm not mad about it. I'm a little mad about it, but it's not like I'm going to call someone and, you know.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person that's going to keep the clothing that doesn't fit for.
Rather than go back. Except for I did take something back recently.
And you made money.
I made money, obviously.
Girl math.
Girl math.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, I love them. My favorite character, I'm already jumping to it, is definitely Iris. She's my favorite. Do you have a favorite character yet?
I mean, obviously Iris or Roman. I think I'm going to end up thinking that Roman is my favorite character. As of right now, I'm not positive. I like them both. I just have a lot of hope for him.
Mm-hmm. I also like her war correspondent friend.
Yeah, Addie.
I think she might become a favorite of mine too.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully not that it's.
Hopefully she doesn't die.
In the back. Oh
or
my gosh!
die.
Or die. Yeah. Either. But yeah, I like those. Not them literally flirting and calling it like confrontation. Like straight up, you can't tell me like, oh, you're keeping tally kit isn't flirting. Okay? I'm not good at flirting, and I can tell that's flirting.
Yeah. You're rearranging his desk and running across the room, girl, please.
It's giving 5th grade crush. I loved reading just like journalism vibes. Like, I mean, just them in the newsroom and like fighting for the story and all that stuff. I love that. I'm a big fan of that. So I enjoyed that. I don't know if you did or not.
I did. This I will say this book took me longer to like get totally hooked than I thought it would.
Mm.
Like the first like few chapters, I was thinking it was good, but I wasn't completely latched on yet. I know you were into it
Literally,
like
the first
right
chapter.
away, which is amazing. But I was like, this is good, but I don't know. I wasn't fully convinced until her mom died.
Dang, that's a long time.
Yeah, I think like 80 pages or something like that.
Which was fantastically done. That was wild. Like her I mean, I feel like I knew it was gonna happen. We all knew it was gonna happen
Yeah,
the
it was
minute that
inevitable.
she went missing. But the fact that it was, the receptionist or whatever or the assistant to the editor or what is
I don't.
Sophie is her name, I think. Sarah.
Sarah.
I was close. Anyways, Sarah dropping off the letter or whatever and being like, "There's a body to be whatever, like identified. Go down. We want it out the next day." And she just like her stomach drop into your stomach, heart drop into your stomach, and oh my gosh, just how she wrote that too. I can so vividly see it of like exactly how it would play out, like as if it was a movie.
Absolutely. Her writing is very much like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not hard to use my imagination at all, which reading tends to do that in general, but I feel like there are some books that are harder for me to picture exactly what's going on. I have kind of a vague concept of it, but this is like a play-by-play. Do you have a hole in your chin?
Not me saying, we can't spill this on my white couch. And I spilled it. But on me, so it's okay. Anyways, yep.
But yeah, her writing makes it very easy to have a complete play-by-play in my head. As soon as Roman wrote to her about his grief and the situation with his sister, and then also him basically telling their boss he had literally earned what he wanted the whole time and was like, hold on, I think you should reevaluate that. I was like, I'm sold on you.
Okay, let's back up.
Okay.
Because I want to talk in detail about that whole situation. But a few things about him and her relationship, of it just being so freaking obvious to everyone but them, which is another favorite trope of mine that I forgot that I love so much. Her noticing like the little lie, like she's like, "Oh, you squint when you lie," and I was like, first off, I wrote down, such a little thing to notice, and then I said, "Does he lie often?" Like, that you have to notice it multiple times to be able to get that. And then also within that same like span of argument, she does my favorite thing ever, of just looking at him and smiling. It's the quickest way to win an argument, ladies and gentlemen.
It's I'm not going to dignify that with a response.
Yep, just for listeners, we just looked at the camera and smiled. But I love that. Such queen behavior. Like, let me just end this conversation right now. I love it. I also, back to your thing that we talk about, at least every book, of authors like grabbing a phrase and then running with it. She says slipped away so many times. Maybe it was only twice. I think I only quite, but still like enough that it was redundant.
Yeah.
Unless it's important. So I did write it down because I forgot the first way she uses slipped away, but it's in relative to them too.
Right.
And then the second time was when her grandmother said, "You're not going to let her slip away," right? So I feel like there might be something tying it together. So I wrote it down. Put a pin in it.
Okay.
Did you like that argument? I guess it was too early for you to really enjoy. I loved it. Big fan.
I love that his grandma also noticed the like squinting thing.
Did you see that?
No. What happened?
I think it was a bird, but it looked like a squirrel, like flying. Like, That was bizarre. I hope that you can see the shadow of what just happened, so I'm not crazy. But that was weird. I thought it was coming right from the window.
I'm glad it did not.
Me too. Your grandmother? Her grandmother? What about a grandmother?
His grandmother. The squinting thing.
Yeah, that was so cute. I love the grandmother situation. The fact that they're all, oh, so you're talking to Daisy, whatever's
I don't know, maybe grandma's my favorite. She seems like a force to be reckoned with. And she's basically like,
Wash your dishes.
Wash your dishes, which he had never washed a dish before. Excuse me, sir, you're what, 19 years old?
That's wild.
Get it together.
Wild.
Also, that she's basically saying, don't let your father control your life. Get it together. You're a grown man.
Yeah. Don't let him write your story. 10 of 10. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story? Okay, so I love grandmother. Zeb, the publisher dude, asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many times is he like, oh, I gave you a chance. Like, I gave you this opportunity. Go away. Like, yes, you did, but she doesn't owe you anything.
He's icky.
He is icky. You know what? He's a little bit of the red flag. I wasn't sure there were going to be any red flags, but... And he censors them.
Yes, that is a big red flag.
Yeah.
Well, and the guy above him does a lot of the censorship too.
Yeah.
The commissioner or whoever
Mhm.
is censoring it. Also, another red flag is Roman's dad.
Oh, big time. And the mom. Like, I don't care. She
Yeah.
still agreed.
Yeah.
And the family that he's going to be arranged
The
arranged
Littles?
marriage. That came out of nowhere. Like, literally, I read that and I was like, what? What book am I reading? This isn't flowing. This doesn't make sense to me. But it does. Like after reading a little bit longer, but I was so thrown by the arranged marriage.
Yeah, especially because it does feel old-timey, but at the same time it kind of feels present day-y.
It's
Like when you're just hearing Iris and Roman's perspective, from their brains it's like a young adult's brain.
yeah.
And then you're like, arranged marriage.
Arranged
What?
marriage. What is happening? It was so weird, but it needs a conflict between that. And
Yeah.
so that makes sense. That was a good choice of that. So yeah. Grandma, love. Zeb, can't stand. Sarah, the receptionist, 10 out of 10. She was even trying to make Iris eat when she was like, you didn't eat. Here, have half my sandwich. You know what I mean? Like, amazing. But wasn't like, are you eating? Like, she was just like, you know? Who else is mentioned in this? Oh, the Airbnb-er. The bed and breakfast lady. Marisol?
Yeah, Marisol?
Marisol, but that sounds like aerosol. And so Marisol in my brain.
Okay. Fair enough.
Um,
And her wife, who we haven't met yet.
but I'm scared.
I know.
I have a
me
bad-
too.
Feeling in my gut.
I feel like her wife's falls into the extra category.
Oh. That'll be so
maybe
sad.
Forrest too.
I'm
Haven't
not-
decided on him.
Oh, Forrest. No, I don't think. I think he's alive.
I think he currently is alive.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if she'll find him and then he'll die.
We can get into predictions later.
Okay.
Because I have some thoughts and ideas. I'm gonna put my red flag down because there's no one to talk about of a red flag right now. But Aster, the mom, loved the name.
All the flower names.
Sad for the fate. I think that's it. Addie, we talked about. Daisy, the grandma, and then the other grandma. Yeah, for characters. But, anyways, I love Iris because you can tell she's a problem solver. Like, in terms of, do we need to take a
We're
break?
good.
Okay. In terms of, like, the money ran out, so she went and got a job, like, one and done. And then her realizing, like, there's a huge obstacle here of Roman. I need to make this foe a friend. Let me offer a sandwich. Listen, we read sandwiches so much in this book that I had to make sandwiches for dinner. Like,
They were delish.
so good. But anyways, I loved that. I like her approach to this situation because it could be negative. She could just be like fuck you, like, you know, I'm after the same job, and you literally were born in a totally different like demographic than I, and your dad could literally come in here and buy you the job. My dad is dead, so like, you know. But instead, she was like, "Let's go get sandwiches. Like, let's try," and he was like, "No." The magic grocery store. Dude.
Wild.
What? So, did I understand it correctly? She walks in, it like knows how much money is in her bag,
Yes.
and only the thing she can afford comes up.
Yes.
That's wild. Another phrase she uses a lot in this book.
Wild.
She took it from me.
Which is very present day.
Mhm.
So it does kind of throw me with the time situation.
But I love it. I'm a big fan.
Yes. Also, when speaking of all the little bits and pieces of magic scattered about, so obviously the magic typewriters, but when she was trying to figure out who it was, there's a sense of time travel in that, of she's not
Yes.
sure if it's a present day person, someone in the past, or someone in the future communicating with her. And I wonder if that will become more of a thing. Like, why was that her first intuition, was that it could potentially be someone not from today?
Yeah, why would that thought cross your mind?
Yeah.
Is that something that can happen? Is that a magical thing? Like, I'm right there with you. Like the little time travel necklace and
Time
Harry
turner.
Potter. Yeah, time.
She also mentions it, I think, at least twice, because she had said it at the beginning, but then she said something else, like, is this a person that's currently breathing the same air as me,
Mhm.
type of thing.
Interesting. I love that. Let's talk about the typewriters.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Okay.
The fact that he's known the entire time that it was her is a little uncomfy. Any thoughts on that?
I think this is one of those situations that I wish it was more multi POV than it is, because we do get some of his opinions in the from the letters later on, but their whole rivalry at work, I wish I could see it through his eyes too. Like, has he always been in love with her? And just kind of that dynamic, I think, would change my opinion. Right now, it feels kind of icky that he knew and didn't tell her. But I wish I saw more from his perspective, because I have a feeling that would be a very different opinion if I did.
It feels icky, but at the same time, it almost is like one of those things where you pass the point of like, well, I didn't tell him, so oops.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you don't remember someone's name, but you're way too far into the friendship or like acquaintanceship to ask them their name.
I always felt that about parents. Like, when your friend didn't introduce them as something, like, you know, whatever, Mrs. Whatever, or what, you know, or call him mom, call him dad. And then you're just like, you. And then there's some parents that want to be called by their first names. So I
Yeah.
always felt like that with that. And so you're just like, you avoid it at all costs. That's kind of how I feel with this situation too.
Yeah. It does feel, I wish he would have told her, but I don't think he has bad intentions with it either.
Yeah, I don't think it's malicious. Not at all.
Awkward, and he should tell her, but I don't think it was.
Yeah. Oh, we got to take a little breaky break. So we'll be right back. Now we're back. Took me a minute. I'm sorry.
So.
Magical typewriters.
Typewriters.
I love the concept of it. I mean, it's like instant message for typewriters. Okay. So, the act of them putting it underneath the wardrobe, is that what activates the magic? Or can they just like the intention of sending it somewhere where you just like leave it on the desk? Would that then what is the significance of putting it under the wardrobe?
I was kind of
Narnia?
thinking that too. I wonder if you put it in another room and close the door, I wonder if it would do the same thing.
That's what I'm
Is
saying.
it just the concept of it going somewhere you can no longer see it?
Yeah, maybe. Or the intention of it.
Or like, why doesn't it just show up for the other person as they're writing? Like,
That would have been cute too, but I kind of like the like it takes them longer.
I like it too, but
Yeah,
I
but
just- yeah,
what
yeah.
activates it?
I don't know.
Rebecca Ross, if you want to come on our podcast and chat about your book, we'd love to have you.
Absolutely.
We didn't even talk about her. Like, I'm a big fan. I've read her other books, Sisters of Sword and Song. I have it right here. I've read it twice. Actually, I might have read it 3 times. I love her writing. So, big fan. You should come on. That'd be fun. We could be Rebecca and Jessica. Anyways, sorry.
All good. I love when he's talking to his grandma about it and how he's saying, I don't think it's fate, but it's something. Some type of invisible string tying us together, but I don't believe in fate. I like his perspective on that, and I'm kind of curious to see where that goes.
Yeah. It's fascinating. Especially, like, what are the odds that they end up working at the same place, are rivals, and then have a magical typewriter tying them together?
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting. I also like her details of his house that he lives in, like the flowers coming out of the teacups.
So cool.
Oh, I can see this so clearly in my head.
Mm-hmm.
It's adorable. It's giving smart house, but not Psycho.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's another book I read. Now I can't think of the name of it, but the house basically did things to take care of whoever lived there or whatever.
Oh.
And that's this he was saying,
Oh, you haven't read that yet. Never mind. I know what I was thinking of, but you haven't read it yet.
huh,
I don't know which one you're talking about then.
Huh.
It's
I
in
don't know.
the
Apparently,
ACOTAR series.
there's apparently a lot of smart houses. But it'll like procure a glass of milk for him if he needs comfort or whatever. This one. It like gives him whatever he needs at the moment. Fantastic.
I love that. I wanted to know your thoughts on this because I
Okay.
felt like it was weird. And maybe just because it's such the opposite of something that we know or that we see a lot in maybe media now. But his parents have a weird like thing about education. Like, they didn't want him to go off to college to be educated. They wanted him to just go and work his way up in a newspaper. In terms of like typically that trope of your parents want you to go to college and do that thing first and then not go off on the creative job, you know?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? What did it trigger in your brain?
I feel like
I feel like a woman. Sorry.
I think it was just maybe the degree in general that his dad, like the English degree, he was like, you'll never use that.
Yeah.
Is kind of where my mind went, but I don't know if it was higher education as a whole because each time he brought it up, he mentioned the degree specifically. But yeah, I think it is interesting because culturally, as things change, like we kind of ebb and flow culturally where there might be an emphasis on trade school versus higher education, college, all of that. And we see that his dad places a lot of emphasis on their standings in society and all of that. And it is curious that why would that allow him to have a higher standing than getting a college education, especially because it's not necessarily related to what his family is known for. So how is that carrying on the legacy that his dad is so concerned about?
Yeah, because they have their train business.
Right. I'm curious if maybe it's something to do with, so he is in cahoots with this doctor who's a professor at a college, right? And he wants Roman to marry Miss Little. And
What was her name?
it doesn't make sense in Roman's mind either, because he's like, these people are not going to further our standings in society, so why them?
It's weird. There's a weird thing.
And then we start
encapsulating
seeing,
it.
we start seeing more about it being they're potentially supporters of this other god that I think most of society is not for. And I think that it's very interesting because kind of the dad's assumptions of where the war is going to lead and kind of picking the winning side, not necessarily
true.
picking what he believes or
It's all about greed.
yeah. And I think it's very interesting that he didn't want his son to go into academics, but into journalism. And I'm thinking if it's somehow related to this whole censorship and having power over his son to kind of publish what he wants published.
Oh, so good, yeah.
And if that'll tie into kind of these bombs or this scheme, whatever's
whatever it
going on to
is.
support this other god, if he has the son in such an industry that puts information out to society, they can maybe sway society's opinions on the war. So maybe it's related to that.
It just all feels deja vu to me. Just is giving banned books and
Yeah.
scary people. But that's such a good take on that. I was curious to see like how you felt about that. And I think I'm aligned with what you're saying too. Like there's something, I don't know why ick is just like the word of, but there's something going on definitely between all of that. But you brought up like the different gods and stuff. I love the use of like mythology in this book and how he has to like go and find it, and he's the one who has access to it because his grandfather is the one that had it, that kept it safe, and all of these things, like very kind of privileged information at that point. But all very important, like things that is not common knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at play with the war happening. They have a very different notion of what's going on. They all believe that it's not going to hit them, but you know, obviously this is a straight train towards that.
Right.
So it's all very fascinating.
Yeah, and to your point about the banned books, same thing with the myths. Like you said about them not being common knowledge, a lot of society, especially the less educated or lower class people, such as in the class of Iris, where she chose, like, she went out and educated herself intentionally. But take her mom, for example, who obviously was struggling with a lot of different things, but I don't think she was necessarily educated in what was actually going on with the war and how it related to the myths and the stories that
I think not a lot of people are in that. Yeah.
and I don't know, I love mythology stuff. I loved this mythology in particular and how it paralleled some other stories that I know. It felt very Hades Persephone.
It does. It totally does.
And especially with the hounds and all this stuff, and
Yeah.
but how it also brings in those typical fantasy creatures like wyverns and stuff like
Yes.
that.
I'm keeping track of what is brought in case they bring in other ones too, just kind of to get that. And I love the use of music too. She tends to write about that a lot just in general. But it is so important, and like along with the books being banned, also the music is being banned because you tell stories through music too. So it's all encompassing of the same thing. But gosh, there's so many layers to this book. I feel like I could dissect it, and like it's way more serious than our tipsy book reads situation. But so are you cool if we move on from that, or you want to talk?
Absolutely.
I really want to talk about Roman more. First off, Roman Kit, I love that name. What a name. All these names are so good. But so after her mom dies and she like disappears, right? That whole scene is so beautifully done, so heart-wrenching, so sad. But he goes and he checks on her. And he waits for her to lock the door. That gave me like kick my feet, like giggle feeling, and she's just like rolling her eyes, and I'm like, girl.
Yeah, especially because he mentioned a lot of people in the office were worried about her, but he
Yeah.
was the only one that actually looked up her address, took her coat, and
brought
went
her
over there.
coat. I know.
And she felt very judged, but I don't think he was at all.
No, I think it was just pride.
100%.
Pride and prejudice. Literally.
Yeah. But her just assuming that just because he's in a higher class and he was born into money and all of that. And some people in that class probably would. If it was her or his father in there, he probably would be judging.
Oh, yeah. I don't think he would have even gone.
But it just shows that Roman and his father are cut from a different cloth.
Totally. Totally. Well said. He was even like, do you need food? Like, are you sick? You look, am I interrupting something? The poor girl was
Her
going through
shirt's
it.
like, her lacy bra's hanging out.
Poor girl.
She's like, no, my mom just died. I'm not back there banging someone. Gosh.
Oh my gosh. But then he knows after because she writes him. Oh my goodness. And his shadow, carry a shadow quote.
Yes.
I highlighted it on my other device, but I didn't. I think I wrote the page down 87. Do you think it's okay if I read it, or should I not read it?
Is it short?
I think it's short.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't want to read the whole thing, but it's not like copyright thing, right? I'm gonna read it and then.
Here we go.
Or if you want to read it.
Sure. Your grief will never fully fade. It will always be with you, a shadow you carry in your soul, but it will become fainter as your life becomes brighter.
Ugh. Just read that whole section because it's gorgeous. I mean,
read the whole book.
Yeah,
obviously,
read the whole book. I mean, but yeah,
the way she writes about grief is incredible for sure.
Yeah, you can tell she went through it.
Yeah,
it's definitely there. Yeah, anytime they talked about grief and then finding out about, like you had mentioned earlier, his sister, and I can't even imagine that. Ugh, just awful. The guilt that just you carry for the rest of your life.
And the way he speaks about his mother and how she's more with the ghosts than she is with them. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. It makes you go like, am I judging them too quickly? Like, I can't even imagine going through that. That's awful.
Right.
Horrible.
Yeah.
So, after this, she goes into the dang office. Asshole Zeb. Really? The name. I'm just kidding. If your name's Zeb, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. But, he's almost giving, like, Spider-Man, what's his face from the...
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, what's his name?
I don't remember.
Okay.
And also from Cat in the Hat, the "You're fired."
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. So she goes in, and this whole scene is heartbreaking because you're literally going back to work after your mom just died. Like, rough. Don't we know? Trauma. And so... And then she finds out this thing that she's going through, or that she's been fighting for months, she doesn't get. And then, like you mentioned earlier, Roman being like, give her a chance.
Not
like
her rival being like, wait, hold on.
But then also that's the moment she realized, like, he reads everything. Even though he knew from the typewriter thing, he reads everything that she produces, which also makes me give him a little bit of a pass of reading the typewriter thing because it's almost become like second nature.
Yeah.
And not, before they started communicating.
Fair enough.
But that scene, and then the guy being like, well, if I don't know, I can't help you.
Shut up.
Okay, well,
it's not your business. Also,
yeah,
fuck off.
Like, literally not your business. You obviously seeing something's going on. Like, step back.
Especially because the day she didn't go to work, after she came back in, he was like, you can't just leave. You have to call out or whatever. When she went to go identify her mom.
Yeah.
It's like, how about, are you okay? You dodged out really quick. Did something happen?
Yeah.
No. It was just, if you're going to do that, you need to let me know.
Yeah.
So
then my girl was like, I quit. Like,
yeah, that was the push she needed. She's
oh
like,
my gosh.
Bye.
And then Roman literally just like following her everywhere and in the office, and then Sarah being like, what's going on? Like, what can I help with? And she's just like, There's nothing here for me anymore.
Nope.
I was honestly so nervous for her because I'm like, oh my God, girl, you don't have any money. Like, you don't have a second job lined up. Like, you just, this is stress.
Wild.
So stressful. Oh my gosh. But then the war correspondent, as soon as they brought it up earlier, like the foreshadowing of
Makes
it,
sense.
it made so much more sense, but also like that's made for her. That position is her.
Yeah, even
Totally.
from the first chapter, she was like telling Forrest that she could go to.
Yes.
It's like
totally
inevitable at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely the train heading right to the station. But yeah. And then she just disappears and Roman's like, hello? Where's my girl?
Oh.
Then we meet Addie. I really like the parallels between this guy, this asshole, and then the editor of the other newspaper. Them just being literally night and day.
Yeah.
Wild.
And the fact that when Iris told her that she had resigned from Zeb, she's like, girl, you're in.
You're
Let's
hired.
Go. Let's go. I like you even more.
I love that. Like,
incredible.
It just goes to, okay. It's not an episode unless I drop my notes. But anyways, I loved that. That whole scene it was just so good. And then we meet Addie. And I loved Addie, like we talked about before. But my favorite thing about Addie is her pettiness of signing up the subscription for her.
Oh my gosh, for the professor that didn't believe in her.
Amazing. This whole book is full of incredible characters.
Yes. And
very developed for things like Addie we already know quite a bit about.
Yeah.
And Marisol,
yeah. Yeah.
I did that Marisol. All I'm gonna hear is Aerosol or
Aerosol.
Yeah, Aerosol. Now I'm not even gonna be able to say it right, but I feel like she's really fleshed out just for being a few chapters in.
Absolutely.
I don't know. She does a really good job at like well-rounded characters.
Absolutely. I love it.
The war, man. We already jump right into the war of like her seeing soldiers and her looking for her brother and the faces of those soldiers. Like, ugh.
Yeah. And okay, sorry, backing up a little bit.
That's okay.
Freaking Roman's dad having him followed and knowing that he went to Iris's house and knowing that they had lunch in the
together?
park.
Oh yeah. Her literally helping him get the job by telling him to write emotionally.
Right.
And then using her as a anonymous. But she knew it.
Yeah.
She walked away from being like, I just helped him get this job.
Yeah.
But literally, what an invasion of privacy of his dad. I don't like him.
Nope. It's
bad.
And the freaking daughter of the doctor is like,
oh my gosh, their lunch is so awkward.
Oh my gosh. And she's like, we'll have our own rooms. We can do our own thing.
Like, nope, that's...
And his thought of, I deserve this. I deserve to be in a loveless marriage.
The guilt. No, you don't deserve
No,
that.
you don't.
You don't. It's not your fault.
You were just a boy.
You were.
But yeah, so I don't know. This is like, parts of this are very fun and parts of this are very heavy. Like the majority of this is very heavy.
I mean, her writing the letters home for the soldiers that couldn't write letters.
Oh my gosh.
Like, oh, how heartbreaking.
Right?
And then Roman helping.
Yes. The real MVP. Also him totally losing sleep when she's like, gotta go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was really...
I think that's when it clicked for him, like, oh shit, I'm in this.
I'm in deep.
Yeah. Also, where is he going?
Okay, that's part of my prediction.
Okay.
But, back. Why the heck? He literally had the opportune moment. So we talked about, like, the moment passing. Okay. The moment came up again. He could have even just, like, acted as if he didn't know and was like, my name is Roman. And just went with it. No. He had to give his weird-ass middle name.
His middle name, which is so funny because it's such a thing of, like, her making up all these middle names for him because she doesn't know what the C stands for.
Mm-hmm.
And now she knows, but she doesn't know she knows.
Listen,
Oy, oy, oy.
that was, if you were waiting for the opportune moment, that was it.
Came and left.
It did. Yep. But, oh my gosh. So frustrating. For a 19-year-old, he has quite his words are profound,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we talked about the grief, and then when she mentioned her feeling like she wasn't brave enough or courageous enough, he wrote the most amazing thing about strength in the quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, how beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. I also love how profound of a writer she is
Oh,
and
yeah.
how much Roman basically looks up to her writing. And I love that because it just shows it doesn't matter your background or where you're from, of what you
Talent.
can accomplish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Because I think Roman absolutely thinks her as the better writer.
Mm-hmm.
And
Totally. He was so proud of her when he saw the
yes,
paper.
he's like, I'm keeping this.
Oh, I love that. Also, I want to read it. Like, why didn't we get that spiel?
Right.
I came to that part, and then there was nothing written, and then and it wasn't there still.
I need it.
I need. If she doesn't already have this, she should like put on the website or something on her blog, like what
Like
they're
the
writing.
newspaper, yeah.
Yeah, how cool. I think that would be really, really neat. But one thing I wanted to know if you noticed this or kind of what your thoughts are on it.
Okay.
But in most of their letters, they didn't sign off as anything.
Right.
And then once they kind of knew their names, they signed off as that, like dash whatever. And then after she saw the injured soldiers coming in, she started signing her letters to him as love, Iris, and he started yours.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
But like what was she thinking of? What was her thought behind that?
I wonder if it was a mix of they're having more and more communications and she's starting to be like, wow, I'm falling for this person. I don't
Mhm.
know. Like even to her conversation with Addie of, is it possible to fall in love with someone you've never met?
Like a stranger?
And so that, and I'm curious if there are even more conversations that we don't see. Maybe we just see the
Maybe,
important
yeah.
ones. So maybe they're literally talking constantly.
Yeah.
So I think a level of comfort and also maybe the being faced with the reality of like, she's close to the front of war and this is life or death.
That's what I feel. Yeah.
And, you know,
Life's too short.
shoot your shot.
Yeah. I love that though. There was just such in their writing too, there was such a turn. You can
Mhm.
so see it happen
And they were being
clearly.
more forward and more flirtatious.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely.
Totally. Oh my goodness. Should we take a break and then predictions?
Sure.
Sorry, I just have so much to talk about in this book. Okay, we're back. Okay, so he just like up and leaves.
Yeah. He's like, I gotta go for a while.
I think he's quitting his job and going to be a war correspondent. 100%. Do you?
Yes. I kind of like when she went to be a war correspondent and they were like, oh, this is the second sign up today. I kind of thought the first one was him. And then when it wasn't, I was kind of surprised.
Wow, that would have been cool. But I like the distance that they had.
I do too. But so I agree.
That would have been a whole different story.
Yeah, it would have.
Yeah, I definitely think it's all good. It's all good. I definitely think that both their escape is the war, which is an interesting sentence, but I do. I think that they both had things that they had to run away from, and writing about what's going on is kind of where they're both drawn to. But I also think like so Rebecca's writings in other book. I've only read one of their books that she's had, but it's very like centered around siblings, and you can tell that she holds a very special part in her heart for siblings, and that's why I feel like it would be shocking if Forrest died. Literally like her other book, and you can skip 30 seconds ahead right now that I'm about to give a little bit of a spoiler for this other book, but basically like the entire story, even though like it does say Sisters of Sword, is this relationship of her sister and her, and then the like romance of it is kind of second nature. Like though the romance does kind of seem like first nature in this one, I do feel like still constantly her thought and her where her mind is always her brother. And I think eventually like they'll find each other, but I almost wonder if he's like a prisoner of war or like just totally gone or like a secret agent or something. Like there's something else going on. She likes to write in layers,
Yeah.
and that's how I kind of feel like
I
where they're at.
agree. There's definitely more to it. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so much emphasis on the fact that he hasn't written yet and that she's trying really hard to find him.
She's close.
Yeah.
She's so close.
Yeah. So I definitely agree. There's something going on there because it's mentioned a lot of other soldiers have written to their families.
Yeah.
Or found ways to do that. So it's definitely weird that he hasn't. There's
Mhm.
a logical reason, I'm sure.
Totally.
Because even with Marisol, her wife has written from time to time, like,
Yeah.
and she's been gone even less, like I think 4 months or something compared to the 6 months that Forrest has been gone. So there's definitely a reason.
Yeah. Something is going on for sure. Is that kind of where you're at with predictions too, or do you have something else?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. I definitely think that Roman is going to join the war as well. He's got to get out of this marriage somehow.
Yeah. And it'll be real rough if he goes and joins the other side that they're not supporting.
I don't think. Oh, right. Yeah. And I think his grandma will cheer him on, but he'll be like disowned by his father, but Roman doesn't give a fuck.
No.
So I definitely agree with that. There's something going on with the Forrest situation, especially because she always says he promised and he's not one to break a vow.
Yeah.
There's just been a
Totally.
lot of mention about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just default to people dying. But
We always do.
now that you've talked about it, I think you're right. There's definitely more to that. I feel like Addie might die. I don't know. Someone's got to die.
Yeah. I do feel like Marisol's, I think her wife is dying.
Yeah.
It's just so, the conversation is so heavy.
Yeah.
Whenever she brings it up. Like, even with it, like, they're talking about the garden and it's supposed to be like a lighthearted thing. It still felt heavy to read.
Did.
So,
yeah.
it's like impending doom is what it feels like.
Or almost like she knows she's already gone. Kind of
Oh,
like.
yeah. Maybe that's how it's reading.
Yeah, because like with Iris's mom, she was saying she knows Forrest isn't dead because she would know if her son had left the earth.
Oh,
Kind of the same thing with a spouse, like
so
the
true.
feeling of when they're no longer on this earth.
Oh my gosh, a TikTok video came up the other day about that lady who lost her husband in like a helicopter thing or whatever, and she like knew when her husband died, and when they came and talked to her, she was like, "Oh, I know."
Wild.
Yeah, that's wild. But just as
Yeah.
that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I read that in a book recently too of like somebody that everyone said somebody was dead and the person was like, "No, I would know if my spouse was dead," and like they weren't or whatever. But that's like a broad concept in real life and in books. So I'm wondering if maybe she's already dead.
That's so sad.
It is so sad.
But yeah, and I think maybe Addie.
Yeah, but I'm kind of surprised she came back from the front. I
I
they
thought
were
she
gonna
was
kill her
goner.
off then.
I thought she was a goner, but I'm glad because that conversation of them on the roof. Oh, I loved it. It was
Yeah.
so beautiful. So I am glad. I mean, obviously, I don't want anyone to die, but if it moves the plot along. Anyways, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I don't know who else. Hopefully, not one of the main characters.
No, I feel like we're definitely gonna get introduced to some more people, maybe some like war commanders or something.
Cool.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hope they end up talking to the gods or something.
Yeah,
Like, that'd be so cool.
That would be cool.
Question. You said you didn't have any Enneagram at Hogwarts?
No, I'm not sure.
I definitely think Iris is a Gryffindor for sure. You can't
Okay.
you have to be brave and courageous to be able to go do what she did.
Fair enough.
I think definitely. Everyone else, I'm not sure at all.
Yeah, brave, courageous, and maybe a tickle bit reckless.
Iris.
Alright.
Okay, so What kept you up and what kept you home?
Okay, what kept me up? Well, what's going to keep me up is this freaking video that I've now seen from this artist
I don't
out
even
there
want
in
to
the
talk
world.
about it. I don't even want to talk about it because I don't want it like.
So I'm not going to sleep for the next week. Thank you.
Gosh, if you know, you know. We're not even gonna say it.
Nope. But seriously, I've been painting this week, so that's been keeping me up.
You know, she has paint all over her.
Yeah, so if you notice, it's just home projects. And
It looks so good.
okay, so the song Something in the Orange, I did not realize that was, so Zach Bryan, the artist of that song, I didn't realize it was the same Zach Bryan that I listened to like in 2019. He used to be a lot more country. And that was when I was like listening to more country music. I didn't realize it was the same person until recently. And I was like, wait, hold on, what?
Can I tell you? I didn't hear you say the title of the song. All I heard you say was his name to Siri or Alexa or whatever it is. And I almost stepped out and said, "Do I look like a Zach Bryan fan to you?" And I stopped because I heard the song and I went, I didn't know that was him.
Yeah, I didn't make the connection either, but Tyler was playing like country music in the car the other day, and one of his other songs came on, and I was like, this is giving Something in the Orange. And I looked, and then I looked, and I was like, wait, this is the same person. And I was like, but this person I know for. So he has come from like country more to folk, and I
Yeah.
love his new stuff.
Oh, it's so
Because
good.
I don't listen to much country anymore, but I grew up on country music, so I used to. And I was like, this is the same person,
Yeah,
and
it's
it kind
wild.
of blew my mind. So, fun
Yeah.
facts. And then what kept me home? Oh, I'm currently reading. Ashley got me a book for my birthday. She got me Love in the Time of Serial Killers, I think it's called.
Oh,
it's
fun.
super cute so far.
I love that. By the way, flood our comments with happy birthdays to Jessica because when this comes out, it'll have been on Wednesday, her birthday. But happy birthday! I almost got us birthday hats. I ran out of time though. But
Fair
cute.
enough. But yeah, so what about you?
What kept me up is our fantasy football league called No Dojo Mojo Allowed, created by the wonderful Jessica over here. That kept me up. And then we'll give you updates if you want on our league if it ends up happening. What kept me home was rereading the Sisters of Sword and Song. It's so good. You haven't read this yet, right?
Mm-mm.
It's fine. I only recommend it every time that I put anything up, but you should definitely read this. It is so good. I reread it again, and it's just as good as it was the first time. I mean, truly, it's so good. So I'm not surprised that I love this Divine Rivals. I'm a big fan of this so far. I had no hesitation
Okay.
going in, but and then also I guess what kept me up is our excitement of celebrating Jess for her birthday. We're gonna go do some fun things. So that's kind of been, yeah,
Yeah.
that's been me.
Sweet.
I feel like I didn't even cover half of my notes, and we're like an hour in.
I
We gotta shut
have
this down.
one question for you. In general, do you prefer rivals to lovers or enemies to lovers?
I think it just depends. I don't know. I definitely do love like a workplace rival situation. But I also love, I mean, they're kind of the same thing, rivals and enemies, and they in this same sense. So maybe I don't know. What do you think the differentiates it?
I think enemies to lovers is more like mortal enemies, like you were born into opposing families and or your powers are literally the opposite of each other and should not work type of thing, where rivals to me is more like going for the like more academic, I think, like more like you're up for the same position or maybe you're in like different departments of a job, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it's just like not quite as intense.
Hmm.
Different vibes, I guess.
I feel like I still view them the same, but fair.
I think I did, but then I saw some TikTok videos about it kind of explaining the difference, and I was like, oh, this kind of makes sense to me.
I don't know. I'm also very dramatic, so anything that's little is the most intense thing ever.
They're
So
my enemy.
no, 100%. Like, I don't hate a lot of people, but when I do hate them, it's the end of the
Mortal
world.
enemies.
Yeah.
Fair
So
enough. Okay.
maybe I just have a different outlook. But oh my gosh, I can't wait for this to finish this. I'm so excited. I'm gonna be reading this instead of having nightmares. I literally got to chapter 25 and I was like, I can't keep reading this. You're telling me I have to wait 2 whole days
Oh no.
until we record?
Oh no.
I was so sad. So then I just started again.
Fair enough.
I did the same thing with Fourth Wing. So, anyways, do you have any final thoughts?
Nope.
Sorrows, prayers, considerations?
Press.
Like, comment, subscribe, please. It really does help. If you rate our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or whatever the case is, that's also super helpful for people to see us. We love you. We thank you for your support. And also, we'll jump on Discord whenever. We'll put it on our story and chat about this book because we definitely want to chat about it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. See ya. Love ya. Stay tipsy.
Stay tipsy.
Bye.